Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Here's a record. Well, yeah, you know the drill and stuff. Like I said, sometimes people send me notes and I don't really look at them anyway. So
well, I
I feel
appreciate that you send me yours.
some people would like to read them, right? So some people,
Yeah,
spit them back, and that's cool. So I'm like, well, I should still let people see mine if they want to. But
yeah.
because Mark always sends me his notes, and I think I never read them. I, I don't know if he reads mine or not, or if we're just sending each other notes and nobody's reading them. So I think he
Now,
said he looks at
so
mine.
no, I noticed you did make some good notes though. But so we're officially, is it just the extra Patreon chatter right now, or is this the official start?
I'll do a little 5 second pause and then
Oh,
start
okay. I just want to
do
make sure.
do the introduction. Before we get rolling too far, do you have anything you actually want to like plug?
Oh, I wish I did, man. I'm
Okay.
probably the least important co-host you've ever had because I'm not from the Roddenberry thing. I'm not from I'm not from the Trek universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It seems
yeah.
like you got a lot of connection through that.
Well, yeah, basically through that one avenue, which is,
Yeah,
I mean, I've gotten lazy with guests. I'm like, oh, I can rotate these folks out, rotate some friends out, and that pretty much covers things.
yeah. But no, man, this is your show. I'm just honored to be a guest. You
Okay,
know what I mean?
brilliant.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm happy that you let me come on as one of the regular episodes.
Yeah, because it's just like, just chatting about an episode, right? So
Yeah,
anybody can do that.
yeah.
As long as they're, reasonably well spoken. Obviously, if you get someone that's going to freeze on a microphone, that might not be so great, but
See, I've gotten better with that over the years because I started doing this. I started on the Discord thing, and I've been the past year, and I've been chatting with people more. And then I used to have watch parties. We used to have like this wrestling watch parties that went on for a little bit.
yeah, I mean, that's, podcasting is for a good way to just get
Yeah,
chatty with people.
yeah.
I
Well,
teach, but it's mostly kids that don't really speak much English, so it's not like we're getting into riveting conversation most of the
yeah,
time.
yeah. I always like when you bring up your stories about busting out the Cookie Monster.
Yeah, I haven't busted them out recently. I've been busting out the guitar more, so
Yeah,
I'll do like the days of the week song really slow and depressing, and then put a capo near the top and do the months of the year song like is some insane troll or something. It's great.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, what was the episode? Oh, I was listening to your Disney, one of your Disney episodes the other day, and you actually listening to your show actually convinced me to watch the original Winnie the Pooh movie. I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go check this out now, just because
Cool.
you guys were talking about it.
Yeah, yeah. Although I think I said in the podcast, the one that really gets me is the 2011 one. So I
Was it
would
the Huffle? Was that the?
no, no, no. It's just called Winnie the Pooh. I think
Oh,
it's
okay,
Hufflepuff is like maybe 2007, a few years
okay,
earlier. It's
yeah.
not so great,
Because
but
I heard you talk about that one. That's why I was like, was it that one?
yeah, because when my daughter was like two, we watched, or two or three, we watched that
Yeah,
2011 one and liked it so much that we were like, oh, here's one just a few years earlier. Certainly, it's good too, and it's it's okay,
yeah.
but it
The
entertains
most
a 3 year old.
The most poo I've ever seen. That sounds really weird as I say that. The most poo I've ever seen is I grew up as a kid. I grew up on that Adventures of Winnie the Pooh Disney Channel show. So,
I don't.
so
I know I saw a little bit of it. Well, I didn't have the Disney Channel, so I guess I saw more of the Gummy Bears.
yeah,
Which now that song's in your head.
yeah, bouncing here and there and
Yeah,
everywhere. Yeah,
but yeah, we just recorded yesterday, and actually, I'll probably post it right after this session. As we went back to do Mr. Toad and Ichabod Crane because I was like, how do we
mhm,
skip over that?
yeah,
So especially for looking into bizarro occult stuff, that's very good place to look for it. And
yeah.
so we discovered basically like all the famous rich people, like the Rockefellers and the Astons and things, are like buried in Sleepy Hollow, like for real. We're like, oh, that's weird. But and I think my favorite bit from that's a weird show in that I don't really listen to it. I just
Yeah,
record them. I probably will
yeah.
someday, but yeah, it's when you make a lot of podcasts, you end up not listening to some
Well,
of your own
yeah, I
podcasts.
have heard a lot of podcasters that say they don't, and for unless it's for adding in purposes, they don't really listen to their own stuff. You know what I mean?
I usually listen to this one.
Yeah,
I've been listening to the Films and Filth one because that's kind of new and
yeah,
exciting. Um, and I've been listening to the Prisoner one. So actually, right now it's just the occult Disney one, which I will someday. It's kind of like I guess that one's such an information dump half the time. It's like
Yeah.
you've had the conversation, you don't, you want to wait a while before you listen to the
Yeah.
conversation.
I don't think I've started Films and Filth yet. I got one downloaded though. I got your 2001 A Space Travesty, I think it
That's
was called.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna
Yeah.
be episode 5, I think, before we have one that people are actually gonna come in for.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. This week is Ballistic X versus Sever. That might bring in some of the geeks, the gamers and such. What's on my list? Yeah, Ikiru 2001 Space Travel, the M Ballistic, North by Northwest, and Speed 2. We've already recorded.
Yeah.
Singing in the Rain, Stan Helsing, Vertigo, The Human Centipede 2, full sequence. I'm
Oh,
not. I'm not really excited about that, but
no, I wouldn't
we
be either.
we have
I
to
went
do
as
it. It's on the
far.
list.
Yeah. Yeah. I looked up those movies because I knew I would never watch them, so I just kind of looked up the 3 movies that came out just to read them on Wikipedia, and I'm just like, oh my god, how could you? Like,
Yeah, like, and the funny thing is we don't watch the first one, so
oh god, oh,
just
yeah.
going straight because that one's not on the list.
Is
Apparently,
this the prisoner one where they do it to the prisoners, or that must be the? I think that might be the third one.
what podcast?
No, no, the one. No,
Oh,
the
I
Human Centipede.
I haven't seen them at all. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay,
I'm not a
okay,
big horror guy, so that
yeah,
never like appealed to me.
yeah, yeah.
I guess we'll bump into this podcast then. So just give it 5 second silence, and I'll do the introduction.
Okay.
Hello, welcome to Time Enough Podcast. It's where we delve into all the episodes of The Twilight Zone and beyond. This is Matt here, joining me today from maybe sunny Northern California. Sean, is it sunny? Did I just guess? I guessed.
It's definitely sunny. I have the air conditioning on right now.
Okay.
It's pretty warm. Yeah.
See, meanwhile, I got a kerosene heater next to me, though I did just turn it off. So, no, you won't be hearing that. I don't think you can hear it anyway with this microphone. So I have to eat my microphone. I sometimes bump my teeth when podcasting, so that's not cool.
Oh, it's all right.
Today is I'm really pretty sure I've never seen this episode before, The Jungle. This was a first timer for me.
Mhm.
You chose this one. I mentioned if you wanted to come on, as you've been listening to the whole around the podcast, and this is one of the ones you mentioned. Any particular reason?
The main the star, John Daner. I think that's how
Mhm.
you pronounce his name. I looked that up, John Daner.
I hope so because I'm
Um,
going to do a trivia in a minute.
yes, and he he played in a couple of episodes, and he's played in a lot of stuff, a lot of TVs, a lot of like mainly westerns and stuff like. Well, you're gonna get to that, I'm sure, in the trivia. But yeah, with this episode, the reason why I chose it, the noise and stuff like that, really creeps me out in the episode. The feeling of walking through the park, the like I said, just having that actor. There's not too many people that I see side with me saying this is a good episode.
It sits in a weird place, like as far as tonally,
Yeah,
because it has these progressive ideas, but at the same time, it's like kind of like weirdly not.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I mean, I guess that's just being made in 1961 America. It's like the
yeah.
Martin Denny Exotica records or anything. They're great,
Oh,
but they're not authentic
and can I
unless
say,
back.
one reason I like this episode too is it plays on a fear I have. Like, I'm not a person like, I'm not saying I trip out and hear things, but if that happened to be like, I have a fear of like that happening to me. Like, what would I do if I was in this scenario? Like, and I started hearing um these animal noises, all these sounds of the jungle. That really plays like on a fear that I have, because I'm like, if I was in this person's shoes, I don't know if I could tolerate it as long as he did.
Yeah. I don't
So
know. I walk around at night a lot. Theoretically, I guess I could get attacked by monkeys if they came down from the mountains and felt like attacking. But that
yes,
that happened. I drove my parents to a when they visited. I tried to drive them to a waterfall, like way in the boonies and up in the mountains, and we were like surrounded by monkeys. So kind of checking out the car. That was pretty
yeah,
weird. That might be
yeah,
like your fear.
yeah.
A few years ago, I was talking to a student who could speak reasonably good English, and I was like, "What?" The question was like, "What are your fears?" Right? and he was like frogs in the dark. It's July. When I go home, I'm walking home. I'm like, there's a bunch of frogs hopping around me, and it's like pitch black. I'm like, wow, this is like this guy's hell. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't bug me, fortunately. So
Yeah.
let me bounce into a little bit of trivia for this episode. The original air date was December 1st, 1961. The mercurial script is from that mercurial Charles Beaumont. This is one of four Twilight Zone episodes directed by William F. Claxton. He'd run wild with that talent on both Bonanza and Little House on the Prairie. John Daner, did I say it right? Did I say it like you said it? I don't know.
Yeah. Because when I seen it, it's pronounced day and then her. Yeah.
He played
Daner.
Alan Richards. I can handle Alan Richards' name. That's cool. He
Mm-hmm.
also played many con men and villains, but stood out as the radio voice of Paladin in Have Gun Will Travel. Is that what you were looking for?
Yeah.
Did you have another one? Okay, that stood out. I mean, obviously that's
Well,
not TV's Paladin, but I was like, hey, Paladin, what do you know?
can I throw in some little trivia facts in here?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of opening the door for you there.
Okay, because I got some credits for the line in this episode.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
did write down Zomba the lion played the lion. So if you'd like to
Yeah.
go on from there.
I mean, let me see here. I have my notes here. Yeah, Zama the Lion. Uh, he was known for four films and many TV shows such as I Dream of Jeannie, Gilligan's Island, Adam 12, and then he was born in 1952 and lived all the way to 1970. And then of course he was in this episode of Twilight Zone. Raised on a ranch called Nature's Haven.
Well, okay. He's a
And
busy
then
lion.
yeah. And the four films, I do not know if anybody's seen them, but one is called Black Zoo, which is about a zoo handler that takes on the animals to attack people. Sounds interesting. One is The Lion, the other is Fluffy, and the other is Napoleon and Samantha. I don't know if anybody will ever watch those movies, but hey, they're there.
No, I was hoping you'd say one and I'd be like, oh my God, that movie. But no, no, it didn't
No.
happen. Sorry.
I think his television roles might have been bigger than his film roles.
So now that means Doris Richards comes after the lion, which is fine.
Oh, that's
Doris, Doris Richards was played by Emily McLaughlin. Her main gig was an almost 30-year stint as nurse Jessie Brewer on General Hospital. The music is a reuse of Fred Steiner's score from King Nine Will Not Return, along with some stock music of tribal drums. So, Sean, I am going to give you the screen, and if you would read the prologue in any voice you feel like. Sometimes I regret asking people that now, you
um
know?
I don't know if you remember the Midnight Sun episode when your co-host really tweaked with the sound and it sounded really bad.
Yeah, I think I called him
Yeah,
out for
yeah.
that.
Can we do that again?
Oh, well, you want you go if you got the
No,
remix
no,
box.
no. I will definitely not do that. This will probably just be a deep voice, just the
Okay,
natural deep voice that I have, but nothing fancy.
rock on.
All right, here it goes. The carcass of a goat, a dead finger, a few bits of broken glass and stone, and Mr. Alan Richards, a modern man of a modern age, hating with all his heart something in which he cannot believe, and preparing, although he doesn't know it, to take the longest walk of his life, right down to the center of the Twilight Zone.
All right. I was hoping I was going to track down a CD before you finished, and that did not happen, which is why I'm not currently on screen. I'm stretching. I'm in Brazil now. I'm
Oh,
going. Yes, I have it organized by country. Here we go. Oh, it's in the very back. That's why I couldn't find it. I don't know if you know this album. That was definitely and on my mind most of the episode. That's Olatunji's Drums of Passion, originally released in 1959. It was very popular. I kind of wondered if that was like an influence on this episode.
wow. No, I have not heard of that album, but that is a good little time that you have.
Yeah,
That's nice.
because it was, I think, one of the first reasonably well selling actual world music albums, because like I mentioned before, you had the exotic of Martin Denny and Les Baxter, but great stuff, but made by basically white guys who played in tiki bars in Hawaii, and unless Baxter did some Hollywood stuff too, I shouldn't sell him short. But he
Yeah,
was known for doing the exotic music, but it's still Hollywood music basically.
yeah, yeah. It was yeah, definitely jungle music. They should say animal noises and there should have been credited.
So do you carry any interesting talismans on you?
Uh I think I got a rabbit's foot, I think I got a vulture's head, and I think I got a raven's claw. No, I do not carry any of that stuff.
Okay, I was just gonna say, just for weird things, things that are always in my pocket include a guitar capo, a phone charger, and this box of not box, this bag what's connected to the capo and the phone charger. But I have a bag of like gemstones.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
just hiking up and down the mountain near my house, I kept passing a drugstore and they had like this Power Stone machine, right? So
Yeah.
I just like whenever I was walking by, I'd like buy one, right? And until that machine disappeared. So I feel like that's a good way to come, the forlorn little um vending machine halfway up the mountain. That's a good way to get your power stones, I think.
See, see, I feel bad now because I sat here and I mocked your question, but you were being serious.
Oh,
I thought you were trying to be funny.
well, I am trying to be slightly funny because I got them out of a vending machine, right? But
Yeah,
it's like I got to have a Cracker Jack box,
yeah,
But the fact is, I do carry something along those lines. I think a lot of people have something weird just in their pocket. They weren't necessarily given it by shamans in East Africa, but
yeah.
yeah, that's a little different. Nothing has been given to me by a shaman yet. I mean, that'd
Well,
be cool. I'd pick something from a shaman. Why not?
yeah. Just as long as you don't threaten to build any dams, should be good.
I mean, I don't carry it for luck or anything. One, I don't know. Just it seems fun,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's the main part. I did think we didn't see much of Emily. Excuse me, Emily is the actress. We didn't see much of
Yeah,
Doris because she shows up in the first scene. Seems like she has a major part. She's telling him basically she's exposition dump on him, right?
yeah.
And the
And
next time,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think I have a quote on that. It was funny because I think she was telling him, "Oh, here's what she said." Here, oh no, it starts off with him, John Daner, saying, Alan Richards. He says, "I'll try to be back early," and then she was like, "Well," she's like, "You'll never be back. Don't open the door." He proceeds to look backwards, and then he opens the door, and that's when the goat carcass is there.
right. That
Yeah,
should be a good sign. That's waking up next to the horse's head in The Godfather.
yeah,
It's time
yeah,
to take some action, which I guess he does. He does take the tooth with him, so he won't be attacked by a lion. But yeah, the next time we see the wife, she is in fact, had been eaten by a lion.
yeah. Do you have a theory on how the lion got there? Was he just magically wished there by the shaman? Um
I was basically
I
going
don't have
with
no
the
theories.
I was basically going with the a shaman did it theory. I mean, you
Yeah,
could add like a weird layer that night there happened to be like an incident at the zoo, I guess, but
yeah.
then it's just
We
a
have
wild coincidence.
escape in the zoo, a breakout.
No, I'm from Atlanta, and I know several years ago we had like giraffes running down the expressway in the middle of the city or something.
Yeah,
Not sure it's a giraffe actually. I don't think it was something that was necessarily going to eat you. So, but it was definitely something you weren't supposed to see on the highway.
yeah. Oh, and when he opens the door and sees the goat, as you said in your notes, that's a good conversation starter right there.
Yeah, hey, let's play with let's go
Is this dinner?
scream.
What should we do with this now?
You can use that to read the future. Yeah, I
Yeah.
well, yeah, I guess you
Hey,
don't know where that goat has been.
I thought he looked rather dapper, for this episode. I know he is a businessman, but I noticed you mark points down for bow tie.
Yeah. Might because I play in orchestras and I have to wear a bow tie when we have concerts. I hate it.
Yeah.
Not a fan. Yeah, -5 reality points for the bow tie. That's what I wrote down.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
a few movies that came to mind watching this later. Obviously, I'm not saying like this ripped it off or anything, but
Yes.
there was a little bit of. Have you seen the movie After Hours, Martin Scorsese's film?
No, it sounds familiar, but I have not seen that movie.
It's Griffin Dunn as a guy who's he's been at a bar or whatever with his friends. He needs to get home, like he's downtown. He needs to get uptown, something like that, and he
Mhm.
just cannot get uptown. You know,
Yeah.
like can't get a taxi, gets robbed. You know, I think insane things happen. It's a great
Yeah.
movie. It's basically like it's technically a comedy, but it's so tense that it's not really funny.
Yeah.
But it's still like kind of a comedic actor playing the role. Cheech and Chong have cameos in it, so
Oh, you
yeah.
can't go wrong with that.
But it's a Scorsese film, and it's just really tense.
Yeah. No, I've seen some Scorsese, but I've not seen that film for some
I
reason. I don't know
I,
why.
I kind of want to call it my favorite. I mean, it's definitely different than the normal like A-list Scorsese film. It's a different for him, which is fun.
Yeah.
Um, but I
Yeah.
picked up a little bit of that with him trying to get back to his place, and just the taxi driver dies, his protection bum runs off, all that sort of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
bum the right it said bum on the wiki page, so what was the and then all that Central Park stuff really had me thinking of Rick Moranis and Ghostbusters. He was
Yeah.
even bashing on a window without the let me in, but yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the part when he's already possessed.
Or when he's getting possessed, yeah,
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 when he's
because
getting.
when he
Oh, I love that movie.
gets banned. We did watch it a few years ago because we in my house we actually liked the was it 2016 2017 one. We liked that one, right? So
Hmm.
we went back and watched the original two. The weird takes were my wife and daughter preferred Ghostbusters too, which is kind of weird. They thought the baby was cute, and yeah,
Yeah.
like 30. It's still a great movie. I'm not going to crap on it, but
Yeah.
yeah, Bill Murray, Vakeman is now so misogynistic. It's like, oh my god. So it's weirdly uncomfortable now.
One thing with Ghostbusters too, I remember as a kid, the painting of what was his name? Was it Vigo or was it?
Vigo the Carpathian, yeah.
Yeah, that thing just scared me as a kid. Like
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, oh
that definitely jump scared when I saw Ghostbusters 2 in the theater. Yeah, and I
yeah,
still like, and that's. I think we were watching. I might have left the room during that scene. I just came
yeah.
back in a minute later, like, oh, I'm going to the restroom. Oh, you don't have to pause it. That's fine. There's a few scenes in movies I still chicken out of. I'll watch the chest burster in Alien. That's fine, but I don't like the face hugger popping out of the egg
Yeah. You
because
know, you know what? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
just saying it's coming, but you just can never time it quite right. And it's like, oh god, no.
You know what was weird? I actually saw the chest bursting scene from Spaceballs before I ever saw Alien.
I think that might be true for me too. It's probably. I mean, I assume you're close to my age. I think it's probably true for a lot of people of our vintage because we would have been like somewhere around 10. You can watch Spaceball, but you're not ready for Aliens yet, or
Yeah.
Alien, excuse me. I probably
Yeah.
had seen Aliens by that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, even when I'm watching Aliens, Alien. God, it's hard to do this. I always expect him to start, singing and dancing with a top hat, even in the Ridley Scott film. So
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling.
yeah, I don't know why.
Michigan J Frog.
Yeah, it's very very missing.
Yeah. Have you ever seen I don't want to get too sidetracked, but before we get back to the episode here, I just want to say, have you ever seen that Michigan J Frog Looney Tunes?
Yes, 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 yes. But
Yes.
it's been a while. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
have. I have that like 6 disc set they put out somewhere in like early 2000s on DVD. So
Hmm.
if
Yeah, I
I
got a
ever
few
do,
Blu-ray ones. Yeah, it's not bad to have the collections.
so yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's nice to
Yeah.
throw on a few of those.
But there was some things like the vultures, what was it, the vulture's claw in here? I was thinking, why vulture? They usually have like it's usually the head of a chicken or a chicken's foot or
Well,
what's up with the vulture?
I mean, I have my degree from college is social science education, so I'm not stupid about geography. I
Mhm.
couldn't really work out the geography of this episode, which I think maybe
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
didn't either.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not going to put the blame squarely on Charles Beaumont or anything, but he is credited as the writer. But because
Yeah.
it's a dam project, it makes me think it's Upper Nile, which would be Sudan, Ethiopia area. With
They
Sudan
just
exploding in the news right now. But
yes.
that's not the jungle.
Oh.
I don't think they have lions there.
And all
So
they let you know is Africa. They don't tell you where in Africa. They just say Africa.
well, I guess yeah, that's the thing. I guess in 1961, a lot of Americans thought Africa was the same size as Greenland, right? Because that's what it looks like on the map. When in fact Africa is massive, but since it's so equatorial, it comes out smaller on certain projections, right? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like they're kind of like, oh, they were in the jungle, but it's like a heart of darkness thing. But it's like, well, no, no, that they if it's a dam, and then I think when they do show you a map, briefly, they do highlight that area, which is not the jungle.
Yeah.
So the name is not quite fitting, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, I'll forgive that. I do like that this episode is kind of a weird warning or indictment against, I guess, imperialism, right? Because we got these guys going in, or maybe even globalism. I don't know, but yeah, people. This happens a lot where companies go in, uh, do something to a developing nation to that's, oh, this is going to help you out, but oh, we still own it. Oh, and you need to pay us or we're going, and they end up draining the government and the people there. So
Yes. Yeah.
so
Okay. Oh, yes. I was going to say something real quick. But I was going to say, so he was having the board meeting, and so, okay, so back before the board meeting, when we were still seeing his wife, he throws away all those lucky charms that she believes in, right? He throws them into the fire. Like it says, I don't believe in this.
I don't know if all well, he still has the
The lion's
lion's
tooth.
tooth.
The
Yeah,
lion's tooth.
he does
Yeah.
burn something for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But she wanted him in the end to keep the lion's tooth. And so, and then we go to the board meeting, and he kind of does this back and forth thing. I kind of believe in the superstition. I kind of don't believe it. We should build a dam, but like we should. I've seen people drop dead from this stuff. Like it's like he knows this exists, but he still is kind of playing back and forth in his head. Like, so I feel like he kind of got a little bit what was coming to him.
Yeah, oh yeah, he is implicit, right? He went and did the company's business, and the wife is like,
Yeah,
"Wow, we're already deep in it. They hate us, so
yeah,
we have this. Someone was nice enough to give us this weird supernatural, protection, right? So,
yeah.
but
Too bad that lion's tooth didn't help him out in the end.
I mean,
You know
these
what?
are the people that are first up against the wall when the revolution starts, right?
Yeah. I was watching somebody, or sorry, I wasn't watching. I was reading somebody's review online when I was doing research on this episode, and somebody had called this episode boring and racist.
The second
Now,
one, it seems it's not like active; it's like passively racist, you know.
yeah,
Like I don't think they
yeah,
were trying to be, but it's still just because of ignorance. It comes out that way.
yeah. I don't think you can call it boring either. Like maybe like because maybe a little bit if you're like if you want to compare it to the other episodes of the Twilight Zone. Of course, this is not the creme de la creme. You know what I mean? But I was never bored in any parts of this episode. Um, so
The
it was kind of
scenery changes a lot, you know.
yeah.
So
I mean, I could see if somebody wanted to call it annoying, like by the sounds and stuff like that. Like if somebody like, I don't care for all these noises and stuff because that's one reason why people don't like the episode Sounds and Silences in season 5. They feel a little too loud for their take for
yeah.
liking.
No, I the soundscape in this one's cool, you know, and they
Yeah,
they reused the score, but they basically had an original Lish score. So yeah,
yeah,
on that end, yeah, I don't think I'd call this boring. I mean, it's not like
yeah.
one of those, like say we
No.
did the Mirror several weeks ago. I mean, I didn't think that was boring, but I could see someone calling that one boring because it's all just in a single room, you know, with
Mm.
guys that
Or
look
see if
almost the
somebody
same.
wants to throw the racist word around, like you could say for that, like you could be like that. Or if you want to say the episode The Gift, or if you want to say the episode The Encounter, which I don't know if you got to the gift or the encounter yet. You've
Well,
probably heard about the encounter.
yeah, I definitely know about the encounter, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that one was not shown on syndication for like decades, I think. So
Yeah. I mean, but with this episode, I don't think there was any like, there was no malice like at that time. I mean, yeah, they showed a person in a tribal outfit with a spear, but it's not like Rod was like, give me
well,
one of these tribal guys.
you
You know.
probably saw my note. Are the party costumes more or less offensive than Prince Harry's? So, I guess, well, he should have known better in 2005, I guess, right? So
Yeah.
there's a little more like, it's still not cool, but I mean, Peter Pan is 10 years or almost 10 years before this. So that has great movie with very problematic scenes, you know? This is not at that level. There's no what made the Red Man Red sort of song in this. That would really be like, oh, I can't watch this. At the same time, I was very happy that someone chose to do this episode, so I didn't just like assign it to someone all willy nilly, right? I was like, oh, good,
No,
someone
if
chose that
you
one.
well, just like there's like two episodes. There's an or I think I said Cabin Deer is Coming was another one I didn't mind doing. I would be surprised if anybody asked you for that episode because a lot of people consider that the bottom of the Twilight Zone.
That's what I've heard. What has a laugh track, and I'm
You
pretty
well, you
much.
know I don't get that in the DVD and you don't get that on Paramount Plus, so I've never actually seen it with a laugh track. I think the
Oh,
Blu-ray has it though. If you
oh
got the
no,
Blu-ray.
I got the Blu-ray. I'm gonna end up with the laugh track. Like,
Well, I don't it might be optional, I'm not sure.
I mean, when I watch MASH, I have the DVDs where you can always turn off the laugh track on everything.
Oh,
So,
really? I didn't know that was even a feature for the MASH DVDs.
because I
Because
did a few specific episodes, and of course, the operating room scenes never had laugh
yeah,
tracks, but you can
yeah,
take out the entire show. And let's face it, if the show is well written, you don't need to tell me where the jokes are. I'll laugh at them because they're funny.
yeah, yeah.
um, yeah. So I was watching something yesterday. This is very off topic, but a Japanese comedian on Britain's Got Talent. It was like big news in Japan, I guess, because they were like, "Oh, a Japanese guy's on Britain's Got Talent," right? But it
Mm.
was just the worst, lowest common denominator humor. I'm like, "Oh no, don't come on." Yeah, Japanese television humor is usually pretty raw. It's
I've
made
seen. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, cut
I
you
just
off.
say it's made for 5-year-olds. Like the 5-year-old news people will laugh at this. So that's kind of Japanese television humor a lot of the time.
Besides like a Dragon Ball Z or a Pokemon, I think the most the Japanese stuff I've seen is like a oh what are the game shows? Those wacky game shows that Japan has.
Yeah, those can get weird. Yeah, the thing I
Yeah.
saw, it's like, don't export that. I mean, it's almost like being racist towards yourself. It was a dude basically wearing a thong and like
Mhm.
doing James Bond poses and things, but every time he do the pose, like it would look like he was naked. And he was
Oh,
just like,
geez.
don't worry, I'm wearing. And then the audience is supposed to scream pants. And I'm like, that's not really funny. That's stupid.
Jeez.
I'm like, that's what you want to import as Japanese humor? Okay, man.
Yeah, we
Uh,
still got the American version here. America's Got Talent. It usually just comes on in the summertime. And then I think they have a special like All Stars one that usually comes on at the beginning of winter that only comes on like for 6 weeks.
yeah. I was reading the Disney War book where that's the problem with was it Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Because they did it as a special run series and it was wildly popular. And they're
Yeah,
like, oh well, let's just put it on all the time, and it quickly tanked. Like you have
yeah.
to I guess, make that sort of thing like an event, which is part of the formula. They messed with the formula in a
It,
bad
it
way.
worked with Regis though in prime time, you know. I felt it worked with Regis filming.
I
Filming.
I
Philbin, sorry.
sorry, it's like filthin', okay. But I have to admit I don't know that much about that end of television. So because once I
Well,
was at
that time,
university, then I was traveling, and then I lived in Japan, so I never saw
yeah.
much of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I am a bit younger than you. I think I'm about 33. I'm gonna be 34 this year. So
Oh yeah,
at its peak, I was getting raised with my living with my grandma. Um and so she would always watch the game shows and stuff like that. So that was like a big thing for us to watch that when it came on. So that was good memories.
yeah. I think I was an only child, so I usually didn't have to like battle with. The only battle I remember is when I was 3 years old. I wanted to see the Muppet Show. My parents wanted to watch MASH, which I do understand. Both are good options, but I think I'd
Yeah.
still prefer the Muppet Show. Huh.
Yeah.
I just watched the Muppets Haunted Mansion because I didn't know it existed till last week. I was like, holy, I gotta watch that. So,
And I
oh,
love Muppets. When I first got Disney Plus a couple years ago, that was the first thing I went through, all the Muppet shows, the original from the 70s,
yeah.
you know?
And
Yeah.
it might be a bit of a Muppet mind in this episode when he gets into the taxi.
Oh,
I was like the taxi driver should have been like a silverback gorilla, you know,
yes.
or maybe that bear that shows up, Bobo the bear. He shows up in the later Muppet movies. I'd settle
Oh,
for him
yes. The
too.
guy that got the one that got started in the space, Muppets
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Space.
Hey,
Yeah.
where are you going? Oh, you're scared of me. That would have been too stupid for the jungle, of course. But that's I can play that scene in my head.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, you just he made me want to have some Muppets now in this episode.
Yeah,
I wish
Muppets Twilight Zone. Hey, if anyone at Disney's listening,
I can imagine Kermit doing a Rod Serling, narration.
yeah, yeah, and someone, run with their idea. Yeah. I did notice that Rod had no tie or cigarette this week. Like he had just like run in and okay, let's do this. I got 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, I think you guys have been pointing it out too. I think season one and season two, he was doing them more like one at a time, not so like quick. Like as the seasons progressed, he started shooting more once at a time, like a handful at a time, shooting them all in one day. Correct? Wasn't that how
Correct.
it worked?
But in
Yeah,
this one, he didn't even go to wardrobe first.
yeah,
Which that's fine. I was like, oh, he looks kind of more chilled out this way, which but I maybe he shouldn't.
yeah.
I guess he
For some reason, I always like the ones where he's standing behind a bush, or not behind a bush, in front of the bush. I don't think he's ever been behind the bush.
or like he's lurking or he
Yeah,
comes up from behind the bush.
yeah.
That'd be cool. Maybe like
Creepy
Homer
stuff.
Simpson in that Shining parody where he just comes out of the hedges.
Yeah. Oh, and then yeah, slowly goes back.
That's what
It's
I
pretty.
want. Do you have any big observations that you want to throw out on this episode? I think I hit most of my entertaining notes.
Well, I kind of like this is where the biggest part of the episode I think is when we get to that walk. When we get to when the meeting's over, he realizes his car doesn't start. Okay, I gotta get home. He tries to light up his first of 3 cigarettes he tries to smoke between here and the end of the episode, but he doesn't get to smoke. Um, so
He's
he
trying to quit.
goes, yeah. Each time he's like, you know what? No, I think I'm gonna put that down. But so yeah, the taxi driver is something that he comes across. The hobo is something he comes across. Part of me kind of thought the hobo was real for a second because he seemed genuine. He wanted money, and then he got the money. I don't know how much money he got, but
Well, he ran off once he got the money, right?
yeah. Well, you tried to beg him. I'll pay you more. Just follow me. And then when he turned around, hey, you're gone. I was like, oh, geez. Okay, maybe you did. He ran to the nearest liquor store, I guess.
That's what I like to think. Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah, it does I mean, it seems like he just disappeared, but I think that's kind of like our main man's sort of projection, like that's
yeah.
how he experienced the events.
I'm assuming that's part of the witchcraft.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
cool too. It could be part of the
yeah,
witchcraft if you want. I just like that he ran off to the liquor store, but
yeah,
but yeah, the timing is relatively suggests witchcraft.
yeah. Well, he can do both. He can run back to the liquor store and then get transported back into his own Twilight Zone,
Yeah.
wherever he came from. As long as he didn't come from that movie Street Trash. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, and if you haven't, don't. There's no reason to. There's really no reason to.
It might be on my list of bad movies here.
It might be. It might.
Or
Um.
not. I don't know.
So yeah, you had the taxi driver, you had the hobo, and you had the walk through what's supposed to be Central Park. I know you said Central Park earlier, but do we know that's Central Park? I've never been to New York.
Um, I've been to New York. They did say it's New York in this, right? Or did they
Yeah,
not? That
yeah.
okay.
No, they did say New York.
That's Central Park.
Okay. Is that
I assume they're in Manhattan, and that's the Central Park is the only place you could have that happen. I think.
yeah. So yeah, I guess it is. So that is not when they say this will be like a walk through the park. That's not my idea of a walk through the park. If I was Alan Richards in this episode, I think I'm curling up in the fetal position. I think I'm rocking back and forth, calling mommy. I don't know if I can handle it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Again, that's the After Hours vibe, which is, I guess, why that came to mind. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't remember if he ends up in a fetal position or not in that movie, but he might.
Yeah. So so yeah, I'm surprised, like he even made it through the park. And we already touched on when, he gets home and stuff like that. I don't want to give everything away in this episode because maybe somebody listening hasn't seen it yet and they will go back and watch it. But
I think I already said the ending 20 minutes
well,
ago.
yeah, you did, but I didn't say like, like every I think, yeah. I think you did half of it. I don't know if you did the full, but yeah. Maybe.
Oh
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna break that door down just a little bit.
Okay, break the door down. Do it.
Yeah, no, I was just at the end of this episode. I was thinking of I guess it's the Greek tale of the lady and the lion. You open one door and it's the lion. You open the other door, it's the lady. I was like, oh, well, you got both with this door.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to worry. It's just one door. You get both.
You know, another thing, sorry, I just cut you off there, but I was wondering too, what if he never made it home? What would have happened with that lion?
I would starve to death in that room. Like, I don't know. I guess you could break through the door.
They open it up, they find two bodies. It's an animal body and a human body. They're like, what happened here?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good what do they call that one? The puzzle where you find the body in the middle of the desert and can't figure it out. Yeah. That sort of thing.
Um, and I'm taking it was the witchcraft that made this town so empty.
Late night. I mean, I was assuming it was like 3 in the morning or something.
I
So
mean, this is a city that never sleeps, though. Was it called the
true.
city that never sleeps back then? I'm not sure. But
Probably. Yeah, I feel like you can. I mean, like maybe I've been hanging around Tokyo too much, or if you're in the main areas, yeah, it's always busy, but you can take a 3 minute walk down several side streets and it's like completely quiet. So
yeah,
I might have my Tokyo experiences coloring my New York ones. Because in Tokyo, yeah, you could easily find yourself on a very empty street um,
yeah,
before too long. Because that's the thing you always. I think people's impression is Tokyo is just super crowded, which it is if you go to these certain places.
yeah.
And you are living in a closet basically. So the apartments are. I never lived in a Tokyo apartment, but yeah, I had friends that lived there, and yeah, it can be quite tiny. I mean, the house I live in now is probably considered tiny for by American standards, but yeah.
Yeah. But like I touched on earlier, in this episode on IMDb, two is ranked kind of in like a C. Like they gave it kind of like it's a 6.8, almost a 7. So I'm guessing that's like a C minus, maybe. Would that be a D
Some
plus or C minus?
well, maybe one thing we found during the films and filth is that sometimes people will like give it a 1 because they think it's a 6, but it's currently a 7. So
Huh.
yeah, that's
All right.
yeah, part of that particular podcast, films and filth, just to plug myself, is we're slowly driving co-host Luke mad because he hates rating systems.
Yeah.
Part of the conceit of the show.
So,
But
so some people, real quick, I'm just going to get this in real quick. So some people just they might say this is a middle of the road episode. I can kind of see with that, but for some reason, it plays on my episode and plays on my fears. So that's why I attach to the main character. That's why I attach myself to this episode a little bit more, I guess. But yeah, go ahead.
maybe because I edit podcasts sometimes, make music. I thought the sound design stood out as you said, and
Yeah,
could annoy people if they weren't into it. So I thought that was cool. I mean, for me, I guess it's a B episode. It does
yeah.
not go directly into my fear wheelhouse, which that's fine.
I will say, Twilight Zone fans, John Daner made 3 performances in the Twilight Zone. If you're going to go out and see his best one, I would go say watch Mr. Garrity in the Graves. That's in season 5 though, so we're a ways away from that here on
We'll
Time
get there
Enough
eventually.
Podcast.
Time
Yeah,
goes faster than you think sometimes.
and you do have time enough
Yes, I have time enough to get to it. So
at last.
that's right. As I roll out of bed in the morning and talk to people. Yeah, if anyone's wondering, it's just Sugi cedar allergy season, and my voice has been wrecked the past few days.
Oh
Maybe it's deep and
yeah,
gravelly. I don't know.
allergy season. Yeah, I was sneezing and blowing my nose to this morning a lot before I went grocery shopping.
Um, let's go into some questions on this episode.
Yes.
Who in this episode goes into or through the Twilight Zone?
Well, I think it should be an easy answer, and that's Alan Richards.
Yeah, I think I'd include his wife. She just gets eaten quite early and she's not on the screen much. I feel like they're kind of equally, like she had her own experience, right? Because she ended up getting eaten by a lion. So,
Yeah, I would say, but he went through it even more because he had to like go through the hallucinations of it and the hearings of it, whereas she was just probably the lion was there and just who knows just did her in because can you see her putting up any of a fight? I'm not sure she did.
no, you never know. She's
Yeah,
been a world traveler. She might have a few tricks up her sleeves. Obviously, not enough, but
yeah,
yeah. I mean, for her, her husband leaves a tooth somewhere, and like, let's just say a lion suddenly materializes in the apartment. That's a very
yeah,
short but very distinct Twilight Zone experience.
yeah.
So, mm,
Yeah, the lion's tooth became very prominent because at the ending, it all came down to a lion.
that's right.
But
So
yeah, so I have Alan Richards definitely going to the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw his wife in because she got a short but
Okay, that's
intense
fair.
experience.
I can.
Taking the question for well, I both of them, the people at the boardroom table, whoever you want, who deserves a trip into the Twilight Zone in this episode?
Well, I'd like to think this was the start of a one by one thing, and like every member of that board was going to get it,
That's
unless they
kind of
decide
what
to
I was
cease.
thinking.
Unless they decided to cease construction right there, they're like, oh, well, maybe this is good enough reason to stop. But that usually doesn't happen. So
Their man and his wife did just get eaten by a lion, so that could be a good warning sign for the rest of them. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, they deserve it. They're going into foreign cultures and screwing them up. So yeah, yeah, sure. That's why they have the curse in the first place, right?
yeah,
Because they deserve it. So
yeah. So I think, yeah, the main character deserved it. I don't know if the wife deserved it. She might have just been a victim of the situation.
yeah, I mean, I guess she was basically along for the ride, going, but she
Mm,
went to Africa, wherever they were in Africa.
yeah,
I mean, does that make her complicit in like what this company was doing? I don't. Like that's hard to say, isn't it? So I guess with her, does she deserve it? Is a little bit of shadier of a question, but yeah, for the straight up imperialist folks, I mean, Africa is still reeling from this sort of stuff.
yes,
So yeah, yeah, sure. That's why they got cursed. That I
yes.
don't know. That's I guess where I'm going with that. Um, let's trip a meter this one then. It's 0 is not trippy. 5 it's extremely trippy. I'll take weird noises, negative numbers, or whatever.
Hmm. Let me think. I'm thinking somewhere between a 2.5 and a 3 because it's just purely noises and hallucinations. I mean, it's not as trippy as something like it's not as trippy as something like As You Get in Shadow Play, which will be probably the standard for what's our trippiest episode that we have yet in the
That's what
trip
came to my
meter.
mind.
Yeah. But yeah, if it was me rating this person, I would say it was a 5, but just I'm trying to be reasonable here. I would say it's a 3. I would keep it at a 3.
I was thinking of 3 because yeah, you were talking about just the sounds and the atmosphere. And I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
find that sort of thing pretty trippy.
Yeah.
That is the trippiest thing in this episode. Well, getting eaten
Yeah.
by a lion out of nowhere is pretty wild. So,
Yeah.
but that's a solid 3, I think. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm even sitting here wondering if I should talk myself into adding a little more, which is what you did. So yeah, I'll go 3.5 because you added 0.5. So I'll add 0.5. I'm 3.5.
Now I do have to ask, would it made the episode more trippy if more animals had been in the episode?
That could have pushed you up to 4, I think. Yeah, and depending on what the situations were, a few more goat carcasses or carcasses of other things. I guess you only get to show so many carcasses on 1960s television,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
That was before PETA too. I probably imagine they got away with more probably.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, hopefully, what was this guy's name? Zomba the lion. Hopefully, had a
Yeah.
nice lion life, but yeah,
Yeah.
clearly was PETA was not looking out for Zomba, so we
Mm.
have to depend on the kindness of your human strangers in that case.
No, the lion went on to win and live another like what was it 9, 10 years after this. Well, he had
Yeah,
a good
yeah,
life.
yeah. Well, I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just taking a look at my list. I'm looking at this. I have too many papers here. Okay, here we go. I'm thinking of where I would put this. This is what have we had so far? We've had this season. Game of Pool, I would say, was definitely better. I feel like this is kind of on an even keel with like, and now I am talking quality basically with the passerby or the grave. Yeah, a good pot boiler. I don't think we've had a completely stupid episode in season 3, so that's cool.
Well, I'm really curious because you're going to be coming up to Once Upon a Time when you get to that one. That divides people, so I'm gonna be curious when you guys get to that. We don't have to talk about that. I don't want to,
Oh,
unless you
and that
want to.
I
Unless you
haven't
want
seen it. I haven't seen it yet, but I
to.
have
Okay,
had a
it's the.
I got a guest request for that one, so it
Oh,
has
nice.
been requested.
Yeah,
But don't know if that's
it's
for good or bad.
yeah, it's the Buster Keaton episode, so that can be, a lot of people are hit and miss with that, but I love it. I think it's a great homage to the silent film era.
Oh, that works. I was about to actually look at some Keaton films because a podcast I listen to is about to hit the Keaton film. So that should be a nice little storm of that sort of thing. Okay,
But yeah,
cool.
when you were saying the rankings, I guess on the season so far with what we got, yeah, I probably would say it's it's there towards the bottom, but that's just only because we've had way better episodes. I mean, you gotta imagine just a couple weeks before this episode, you were watching Death's Head Revisited in the Midnight Sun, and those were big episodes for some people.
And It's a Good Life is right before those two. So that's a
Yeah.
run of three very iconic episodes. So,
Yep.
mm,
Yeah.
um, yeah. That's definitely, I don't know where my season. Oh, there's my season two list is too far to reach. So, but yes, I do know Cavender is coming. So there
You know,
will be
you want to
something
know
stupid.
what's pretty coincidental is okay, so I counted and I think there's only 3 episodes of Twilight Zone that involved witchcraft. And what's weird is there was an episode before The Jungle that you're going to be covering soon called Still Valley, and that also involved witchcraft. So I wonder what the back-to-back weeks of witchcraft, like what that was that all about.
Oh,
What
weird.
that,
Yeah. I actually
yeah.
have not seen that one yet. I'll watch it tonight and do that episode tomorrow morning. So don't spoil me.
No, I won't.
But yeah,
But
that'll be an interesting. I guess it's good you brought it up here because I haven't watched that one yet.
yeah.
Do you want to throw any final points onto the jungle?
No, I just it's it's one you guys can watch, the fans can watch. If you want to skip it, I wouldn't hate nobody for skipping it because there are better episodes this season. And if you don't have a lot of time on your hands, you're trying to get through a season quickly, and this isn't see, this is just one for me personally. I like.
Yeah. I haven't had. It's one that would fit nicely into a marathon. You know, you put it between
Yeah.
like two real bangers, and it's a nice, 3 episode run, and you're in the middle of your
Yeah.
marathon.
And it
I
is
think that's
Charles
fair.
Beaumont, but if you want to look for some better Charles Beaumont episodes, there are better ones out there.
Oh, for sure. But
Yeah.
I do like his vibe. I mean, it's very
Yes.
distinct from Serling's vibe, but very much a fit in the Twilight Zone. Because the Montgomery Pittman ones, we've done two of those this season, which are good, but don't feel a little off somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's a new voice in the Twilight Zone. I don't know. Um, and then uh, I feel like oh geez, why is the guy's name escaping my brain? Other major writer who wrote
Richard
everything.
Matheson.
Yes, thank you. I don't know why I couldn't remember his name, but like I feel like sometimes it's a little harder to distinguish one of his episodes from a Serling. Like
Hmm.
he's high concept genius, right? But
Yes.
like he doesn't feel as distinct as say the Beaumont episodes. Like this one, doesn't feel at all like Rod Serling wrote it. Maybe that's why he showed up without his tie and a cigarette. I don't know.
He was in a hurry that day.
Right.
What was weird about the cigarette though is I heard he started that, like, we everybody knows Rod was a chronic smoker, but I heard that he started that thing, or I read um that he started that it was kind of it was a habit to get him out of the nervousness of being on camera. So when he held the cigarette, it kind of calmed him.
You might have heard me say that, but yes, I think I read
Okay, you did
that.
say okay.
Yeah, I said that before. That was kind of like because he
Yeah.
was not planning to be the narrator. It's just
Yeah.
no one was quite. They were like too whimsical or too dramatic, and yeah, it just needs somebody with a slightly distinct voice. Just telling it to you straight. That's the shtick that was needed. So yeah, but the man himself was not really wanting to be on camera. So
Yeah.
Um, well, I guess I'm going to head out of the jungle and into the frying pan. Does that make sense? I don't know.
It works.
This is Time Enough Podcast. It's Time Enough Pod on Twitter and Facebook. Uh, we are on Patreon at Podcastius, where you can throw us $1, $1, or have that as a window into our other shows. We mentioned a few of them in this one. I call it Disney, where we look into the weirder things deep in Disney movies. Films and Filth, where we look into the top 100 and bottom 100 movies as rated by IMDb users. And you could do some video game ones with Luke Loves Pokemon, the game show where gamers game each other about games, and Hyrule Field Report, which will be going over the Zelda games, because there's a new Zelda game out there now. Or now, I guess, as of people hearing this, what's today? Today is May 21st. Yeah, you can play the new Zelda by now. And we're just wrapping up our run on the Prisoner that's imprisoned in prison, another Prisoner prison cast. Just wrapping on that, and we will make plans for something new before too long. Okay, well, Sean, thanks for jumping into the jungle with me today.
Thank you for having me, and I hope I didn't bore anybody. I hope I did all right, and I hope to be back for at least a couple more in the future. Maybe
Yeah,
at least
sure.
one.
You're the only one that asked for Cavender's coming. Yeah.
All right.
Hey, man, I'll send you the first podcast I recorded. That's embarrassing for me to listen to. Woo.